What's up, Dateables? Official start of season 14.
Woo, I cannot believe it. Season 14, here we come.
I want to take clips of every time Julie says, I cannot believe it's season blah, because she can't, she just like finds it all very unbelievable. I'm like, Julie, listen, it's
Don't
season
you?
14.
I know, but sometimes I do find it unbelievable that we've been doing this. I actually got corrected that it's only been 6 years, not 7 years. We did the math wrong.
Oh, we did? Oh.
Yeah,
okay,
we did the math.
Well, we're 6 going on 7.
6 years. 6 years is still quite an accomplishment. Yes, we are 6 years going on 7 years. And it was Valentine's Day we launched back in the day.
Yeah, I actually looked through my old photos of that very first recording we did in my apartment, in my studio apartment. And we had like and 7 people
were eating like pretzels. They were all eating
a live
like pretzels.
Audience. And that would never happen again.
I actually, on your phone, I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but it takes on iPhone, it will almost make these like little movies of different moments of your life. And I came across one from our live show that we did right before the pandemic. And it was just all these clips of that.
So
and that
fun.
Definitely brought me back.
Which would never happen again, or at least not never, but it's not going to happen again for a very long time. Like, I haven't even seen Julie in months in the flesh, so there's that. But at least we can keep the show going. This is like what's so great about this time of podcasting is this is something you can do virtually. It's amazing that we can do this virtually. It's not a TV show where you have an in-studio audience and you have to be there live. This we can do all over the internet. So thank you. We're very grateful that we can keep the show going.
Yeah, and it also opens up our guests. I feel like we're so lucky to be joined by our season opener guest, Lara Torrent. And, you know, I remember the day when we were doing Skype calls and we didn't even have video on to see our guests. So what a world of a difference this has been.
This is such an appropriate episode to start the season because we're all talking about what are you bringing to your dates. Sure, there's 2 people and 2 people bring each other on the date. But did you know that when you go on a date, you're actually bringing a whole team of people with you? It's your energy, it's your vibe, it's what you experience before going on that date. It's your limiting beliefs. It's all of this extra stuff that you're bringing on a date. So the question is, what are you bringing on your dates? And we want to bring in that good energy on this season of the Dateable Podcast.
Big D energy. The D is for dating.
She's been waiting to say that all day, folks. She's like,
that was Yue's line. I stole it from her.
She wants to say the big D energy so bad. So bad. You know, the biggest compliment I've ever gotten was someone told me that I brought big D energy to a call.
Damn, Yue. Damn, Yue. No, I mean, I think the energy is real, and it's not just dating. I mean, this episode, too, Lara talks about how it shows up with his wife of years. And there is still many sides of you that you're bringing, different types of energies in different situations. I actually was in a work training today, which was so relevant to this, that was all about your energy in the workplace, and it was based on colors. Have you ever done this before?
No, I'm so intrigued.
Yeah, I was trying to find like one sec. Let me pull this up for a second. I was trying to find like a free test online because we had to do one that, you know, the company paid for that was really insightful. It was like a full-on profile of yourself. It was nuts. And I feel like they should be doing these for dating. Somehow it's like Myers-Briggs on steroids.
I don't understand it. So it's energy. So it's colors?
Yeah. So basically there's 4 colors. There's cool blue, which is like, you know, you're objective, you're structured, you're consistent, you're factual. You're fiery red, which is like you're bold, you're fast-paced, action-oriented. Sunshine yellow, which is like you're very friendly, dynamic, optimistic. And then the last one is earth green. So you're considerate, supportive, reliable, trusting. So you're more of the supporting role. And all of them have the inverse qualities. So it does a series of questions, looks at your color dominance. And the thing is, you're not just one color. You're not defined that way, but you have a prominent color. That's your energy and your aura that you're putting out there. But other ones show up too, and in different situations they may. But then there's like the reverse feelings of it. So I'll just give one example because there's so many. But let's say like, okay, I am a sunshine yellow is my dominant one. But the downside of that is when you're in kind of a bad mood, you could be hasty or frantic or excitable. Like there's different like flip sides to it all. So it was really interesting because I feel like it ties so much with this conversation of just different things provoke different sides. Even the same side based on other external factors going on for you can make you show up in a different way.
So just to clarify, is this an assessment where you're looking at colors to identify what color you are, or is it like it's questions and then it tells you what color you are? Okay, got it.
Yes, it's basically like Myers-Briggs, but is it Myers-Briggs or Briggs? Briggs. Okay. It's just like Myers-Briggs, but instead of getting the letter combo, you're getting a color combo.
I see.
So for instance, I was like 81% yellow, 65% red, and then so forth. I would guess you were probably, I was thinking about it because like one of the things was to think about like celebrities and where they fell in or people you knew. And I was trying to guess what yours was because I wasn't able to find you a good test.
Am I the celebrity or the person you know?
You could be whatever you want me to, you could be whatever you want to be, Yue. I'll let you decide how I viewed you. I won't say it.
Fair.
A little bit of both, okay? A little bit of both. 80% person, 20% celeb. But I was trying to think about like how you would show up. And I was thinking about it that like for our interactions then on this podcast, I would put you at like a red, like fiery, and like having more of the fast paced, bold, like very a lot of people say that you're feisty in the best way possible. Like that was something that people said. But then I was thinking about you at work, and I actually think you're probably more of the supporter, like the earth green. And then I was thinking about like how you showed up when you were dating. And I actually think you might have fallen into either like the sunshine yellow or the earth green there too, especially in early dates. So it's really fascinating how like we can really show up very different based on the circumstance and who we're with, how comfortable we are, all that.
That's fascinating. I like that because it's more visual, so that when you go on dates, your dominant color is yellow and you go in maybe thinking, I want to be a dominant yellow on this date, or I want to be a dominant red on this date, and you can visualize that. That's cool.
It's interesting though, because I texted my partner and I was like, which ones do you think I was? There were two that were dominant. And he actually guessed yellow, which I was, and then also the more supportive one, the earth green, because I'm very, nurturing to him. But again, I was taking this under a work context. That's why I showed up less of that. So it really is the fact that you have all these factors of your personality. And I think like for so long, I just thought of it so black and white of like, do I show up as real Julie or date Julie? And I think this episode really helped open my mind up that we're so dynamic at all times. And then this training was kind of the cherry on top.
There is a mic drop moment in this episode, and you'll get to when you get to it, you'll know. And that was an eye-opening moment for both of us where we both thought, oh my gosh, like people always say, be your authentic self. What does that mean? In this episode, you'll know exactly what your authentic self is, and I think you'll be relieved by the answer.
Even vibe and energy. I was trying to think of, I was actually Googling it too. I'm like, how do you define that, right? Like, I think we all can define it in the sense of we know what it feels like, but it's hard to put that actually into words what it is. It's a certain feeling that you're getting from people's body language, the way they're interacting. And I think it's so interesting why we just jive with certain people and why we don't with others. And what this training was basically saying was the people that are opposite of you on the color wheel, it's going to be a little harder to find that common ground sometimes.
Oh, so is it saying that yellows would attract yellows?
So this wasn't done in a romantic setting, so I would love to see if there's more research on this. I'm like, I have a question, trainer. Does this mean that I'm more compatible with other yellows? They're like, you're missing the point. This isn't the point of this. I mean, basically what they were saying is that everyone has every side. There's color. Everyone has some aspects of every color. Some strains will come out more than others, but the predominant color is primarily how you show up, how you communicate, all of that. And with people, for instance, I'm a yellow, so the opposite on the wheel was a blue. So for those people that I'm very like kind of just gregarious and talk a lot with my hands and maybe talk a lot, and some of those people might be more introverted and they're thinking things through a bit. And it's fascinating because I actually think a lot of times in dating, sometimes opposites attract a bit with that stuff. But then there's also the side of it that the barrier to understanding each other and something that like the energy you're putting out might be overwhelming for the other person or vice versa.
Okay, well, I'm thinking back on a time where Julie absolutely did not get along with this one certain person when we were trying to organize something. And
oh my God, yes.
I was like, who?
And then I knew.
Not a blue. I would say he's probably a red.
Yes. You know, that's interesting because I do have a bit of red in me, especially when it comes to work type settings. And I think maybe that's where I clashed with him more, is that I also had it, where you were kind of just like, let him do his thing. He'll move on. You were kind of more like, go with the flow with it. You're like, he's going to forget about it in 20 minutes. Just let him be. I had to like go at it more. Yeah,
I'm
but like
so glad
I think that
interaction
maybe
is over.
speaks but maybe that speaks to your energy more, right? Is that especially when it comes to work settings, I think you are a little more like cooling and calm.
Neutral. I would say I have no color at work. I am just clear.
No, I think you're green. I think you're more on the green side, the supporting side.
Okay, well, maybe I should stop doing that because that takes a lot of energy, and I'd rather use that energy elsewhere. Anyway, this is fascinating. I think, Julie, if you can find a quiz for us, even as a pay-for quiz, maybe we can link it for people because I feel like a lot of people would be interested to know. And then we can have like a color party, you know, just like an Instagram live. Everybody show your true colors. Ooh, show your true colors. Ooh.
I like it. Or maybe there is an expert out there that can speak to this on the dating context. Like I mentioned, this was on the more professional context, and I think that would be really cool to learn about. Like, does the same stuff carry over, or are you actually compatible with people that are opposites?
I would be so curious to know. And that kind of brings us to this next part of our discussion, because we really want to talk about this, is Julie and I are kind of like fed up with bad dating behavior. We feel like the last couple years we've normalized bad dating behavior, and we're letting this bad energy come through and take over dating culture. And that's why so many of you are frustrated, you're fatigued, you're trying to take a hiatus. That is exactly why you feel that way. So we felt like because we keep hearing terms for bad dating behavior, which normalizes it, why don't we have terms for good dating behavior? Because we sure as hell know people in our Facebook group are carrying out good dating behavior, but there's no term for you all. So we decided to come up with some terms for good dating behavior and put up a poll on our Instagram. And this has been really fun because well, step number one is Julie and I had a really fun brainstorm, and there was just some names, let's just say, that we left off the last week's episode.
There were some. I know there's no bad in brainstorming, but there were some bad, and I admit that some of them were mine. But yes, I think with the episode last week, you heard a lot of these terms that we were floating, but it was fun to do the follow-on to see what are the terms that we want to carry through.
Right. So we picked 3 of the most prominent bad dating behaviors. And then we thought, what's the opposite of that? What's the good of that? And then thought of some names for it. So the first one is ghosting. We all know what ghosting is, but just as a reminder, is when someone disappears on you without any warning, and maybe you've already engaged in some sort of relationship or situationship, maybe even made plans, but they just poof, disappear. And the opposite of this behavior is when we can use radical honesty to close the loop if you're not interested or you're not in a place to date, instead of leaving people hanging or leaving them to guess what is going on in your mind, right? Okay, so the 2 terms we had people vote on: Dalai Laming, right? Okay, radical honesty, kindness, and closed looping, just closing the loop, not leaving anything to the imagination. And 67% voted that closed looping should be the term.
Ooh,
so
I
not
like
a huge
it.
majority,
I like it.
but closed looping is what we're going to be using from now on. You know, the opposite of ghosting.
I love it. It's straight to the point. I mean, I think Dalai Laming was funny, but it takes a little more. There's a few more hoops to jump through to understand the context, where closed looping is pretty much, this is what it is.
Well, I feel like with Dalai Laming, I think many people may feel like maybe that's not attainable. Like, well, I'm not the Dalai Lama, so.
That's true. Closed looping is a better starter one.
Maybe less intimidating, but we'll ultimately work up to Dalai Laming. Okay. And the second term, bad dating behavior, is roaching. This came out, last year? It's a brand new term, right?
So
and
gross.
it's about you discovering that the person you've been seeing, or what you thought you were seeing, was a monogamous relationship. You discover that they have a ton of other lovers at play. Thus, the roaching, multiple people in the situation. And the terms we thought of for the opposite behavior would be maybe taking more time with each person, one person at a time, or giving people the respect and effort to get to know them instead of trying to get a groupie going, right? I don't know if you watched the Ali Wong special, but she talks about fan dick, like fan pussy and fan dick. You get like fans when you're a stand-up comedian, and you get more of it when you get famous. So she was talking about fan dick. You have to watch the special because she has a lot to say about it. So this is like getting rid of that fan dick phenomenon. You don't need all those fans around. And the 2 terms we came up with
Fan
are
dick energy.
fan dick. It just doesn't have a ring to it at all.
Fan dick energy. Okay.
It's not the same. Like, just doesn't hit the right way. Okay. So the 2 terms are wolving and nesting. Wolving, as we discovered, wolves are some of the most loyal and monogamous animals. And nesting really just means like trying to create something with someone at a, in a very intentional way. And it takes effort to do that. Very, very similar to the last one. 66% voted for nesting, and 34% voted for wolving. And I think both of them can be a little bit interchangeable, because wolving can be the next step, right? When you're like trying to get to that monogamy with someone, DTR, and nesting can be like the first intention. I'm trying to create a life with someone.
I like it. I like nesting a lot too. I mean, they're both going with the animal theme, but a nicer animal than roaching. So they're both a win for that reason alone.
I still like exterminating and fumigating. Just
We'll find a use for those at some point. Yeah.
just for the sake of getting
They're not
rid of
over
roaches.
yet. They're not over yet. Yeah, getting rid of the roaches. It's just
Okay, third and final term, benching. Ugh. Benching is when someone is stringing you along, they're benching you on the sidelines. You're never a starter player, but they sure want you in the game still just to watch, and they want to keep you on the sidelines the entire time. So what is the opposite of this behavior? Is when you can invest more into someone, when you can make them your universe per se, when you can focus more attention and energy on someone before you decide that you don't want them in the game anymore. So universing is one term, making someone your universe. And matchsticking, which is focusing on that one matchstick at a time. And also with matchsticks, you can't just leave one burning and just let it without watching it, because it's going to burn your house down. So you have to like really take care of the match. 79% voted for matchsticking and 21% voted for universing. So we have some new terms that we're going to try to use throughout this season, and we encourage all of you to use those as well. We've got close looping, just closing that loop, guys. Just stop leaving people hanging or ghosting them. Nesting, the intention of creating a life with someone. And matchsticking, focusing your energy on taking care of and catering to this one person at a time.
I love this so much. And for anyone that missed last week's episode, you can clearly go back and get the whole rundown, because if you haven't done it yet, we all pledge to date the way that we want to be dated.
Yes.
And I think that's so important with this episode too, of how are you showing up? Because even let's say you're a yellow, you're the sunshine personality to the core. If you have too much dating trauma and you are down in the dumps about dating and you're showing up thinking, well, this is going to go nowhere, that's not the energy that you want to be putting out there. And I think the more and more we focus on all these bad terms, I mean, this is psychology 101, right? The more you focus on something, the more it's bound to happen. So if we're always thinking about if we're going to get ghosted, most likely we're going to get ghosted. Instead of thinking about, okay, well, you know, I really want to settle down with someone. I want to find that person. I'm going to find someone else that's down to nest. That's such a different like energy that you're just bringing into that date right there from the words alone.
So fucking true. I am so behind all of that, because also we've heard a lot of you say, I started dating someone, they're doing everything seemingly right, but I'm scared because I feel like maybe it's too much too soon. But sometimes it's because we don't have terms for that kind of behavior. When you're like, oh, they haven't ghosted, benched, or roached me. What is wrong with this person? So now we can say, well, this person is matchsticking you, obviously. And then you can recognize the good behavior and accept it. Appreciate it.
Well, history is being made, people.
Witness this.
Well, before we get into it, a few announcements. Love in the Time of Corona, that is our Dateable Facebook group. We're sticking with Love in the Time of Corona until Corona is officially over, because we don't want to jinx it. So find us on Facebook. And at Dateable Podcast is Instagram. That's where it's at. That's where you can vote in these amazing polls. This is where you can make history. You are part of these new terms because you were following us and engaging on Instagram. So if you're not there yet, then come on over. And then the last announcement is share this with a friend. We all need that good dating energy, the big D energy, right? And our friends would benefit from this likely. So if you have a friend that you think would enjoy this conversation, that may be down in the dumps about dating, or maybe not even down in the dumps, but just wondering why things aren't working out. Maybe they're not bringing the full self that attracts people in other aspects of life. So share this with a friend. Sharing is caring.
And on the DL, we do have a TikTok account. Okay, it's at Dateable Podcast. Listen, we're doing it for shits and giggles. Do not have high hopes for it. But if you just want to see something entertaining, go there.
Look, you've been posting some great videos onto TikTok. Let's not undersell it totally. We don't have many followers, though. So build us up, people, please.
Yeah. Please follow us. We will pay you. Please follow us.
Maybe not, but please follow us.